All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the newest First Friday here delivered by your Wakuho Network Professionals of Color. Very excited to be here today with our very special guest. Before we start, I'll just have myself and our co-chair just kind of introduce ourselves really quick. My name is Matt Soto. I'm the one of the co-chairs for Wakuho Network for Professionals of Color.
Hi, everyone. Susu Eldenef-Walkwitz, another co-chair. I'm at Marymount California University.
Yeah, and so we're excited to kind of get this started. We have had an opportunity to have this intimate moment to connect with two other kind of big movers and shakers in our industry. So our first was Sam Prater, if you had a chance to visit that session. And then our second was Margarita Malagon, who we really had some really amazing, inspiring things to say. And I'm really excited to introduce our third speaker in this series, who is a friend of mine, Rhett Burden. So I'm gonna just talk a little bit about Rhett and then I'm gonna let Rhett take over from here. So Rhett Burden is the Assistant Director of Housing and Residence Life at Academy of Art University in San Francisco. He is a passionate educator, leader, social media influencer based on my own opinion, husband, and excitingly, soon to be father. And so he just announced he and his wife are expecting. What you may not know about Rhett is that he is actually a children's book author as well, beyond his professional role in housing. He's passionate about telling relevant stories for Black children, and I believe your children's books are available on Amazon, Rhett?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good. So everybody go buy them.
Thanks for the plug, man.
Rhett won't say it, but I will.
Thank you for the plug.
So please join me in just welcoming, please, Rhett Burden.
Thank you all for being here. I know it's lunchtime. I know there's so many things that you could be doing. Really excited that you are here to partake in the conversation with Matt and I. So thank you all so much. You all are the real stars. Hopefully I say something insightful.
All right, Rhett, I'm gonna spotlight your video. Oh, actually, Susu, can you do it? Because I just made you the host, sorry.
No, you're good. Boom.
Perfect. All right, Rhett. So just to get us started, if you can just, one of the things that you and I have been talking about a long time, and I think, Dave, you can probably connect with this, is I connected with Rhett when we were on the executive committee for Wakuho a couple of years back together. Dave was the president at the time. And I think what I really appreciate about you and connect with you on is you typically have a differing opinion from a lot of people, and you're pretty passionate about sharing that opinion, but you do so in like a really respectful and there's been times where you and I have disagreed, and I've always walked away from that feeling so respected and cared for. And so I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about that and kind of where that comes from and how that has kind of played a role for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that characterization. Growing up, I grew up in a single parent household, grew up with my mom and my younger brother, and I had a chance to see that sort of behavior role modeled from my mom, colleagues and friends. And ultimately, I found that that's really the best path to go when communicating with anyone. It's okay to have a differing of opinion. It's okay to share your perspective, to share it passionately. But ultimately, the goal is to always find a level of agreement in some shape, form, or fashion. And ultimately, I never want my passion for a particular area to come off as arrogant or to come off in a way that people no longer want to work with you. Because I really believe that ultimately the goal has to be about building bridges and not using your passion to tear them down. And a lot of it just comes from seeing it role model, not always doing it right. I can say that my partner would probably say I don't always do it right. Uh, I try to communicate the best I can, but it's really a habit and something that I am very conscious of each and every day, wanting to make sure that I'm very mindful in my passion and in the respect level that I give to who I'm speaking with.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely have that experience with you, and we connected because another one of your opinions that's a little bit different than I think the regular res life type of mentality of kind of being married to your job and being really passionate about what you do. You have a very kind of specific way of looking at the work that we do in, you know, acknowledging that this job is not your whole life. It's not your whole existence. You love what you do, but you are not your job. Right. And so I have connected with that and learned a lot from you and hearing that, because I've always felt a little disconnected from the rest of the industry on that. You can still be a really passionate educator and not be like totally, you know, have other passions as well. So can you talk a little bit about some of those other passions that, you know, I mentioned a little bit in your intro, but I know you have a lot of other things that you're passionate about.
I am, and I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I think I learned at an early age, and I'm sure everybody on the call can agree that in the event of your untimely demise, the work is going to get done. They'll clear your desk, and someone else is going to pick it up. So really, for the passion that a lot of people in our industry have, to be married to a profession like anything in life that is going to push forward no matter what, I don't think that best serves me. And one of the things I'm passionate about in speaking to my colleagues and friends is doing what serves you. And I just can't see myself working to a bone for a position where if I were to drop dead, they would probably light a candle and then say, who else is going to pick up his task? Because that's just the nature of any profession. So for me, a lot of that is just being mindful to give myself to the work during the workday, but then to be able to disconnect, because I have to refill my cup. I have to re-energize myself. And there are also so many other passion areas that I have that you mentioned. One of those is writing books and telling stories. So I've done 7 books thus far, 2 professional development books. The first that I did when I was an undergraduate, called Brother Please, a guidebook to life and leadership tools for the sane and advice for the crazy. Then I co-authored another professional development book called Mistakes. My pencils don't come with erasers, just life lessons. And then I fell in love with a little person, and not the little person that I am going to have, but my nephew. My co-author for all of the children's book series, his son was the first sort of little person that I had a chance to interact with on a daily basis. And, you know, we work with college students and they have such amazing energy, and you get to learn so much and it keeps you young. But having a chance to interact with, you know, a 2-year-old, it's different. And you start to see the world a little differently. And the reason I got into the children book space is because I had a chance to try to be a good uncle, and I would go to school functions and try to wrap my brain around all these things that were happening. And I noticed that when I went to his charter school and I went to the classroom, everyone was very nice. You could tell that they were really teaching the students a lot, but the books that they would read, there were no Black characters. And what I do believe that representation matters. And what I told his father was, instead of us griping about why these books have different characters and monsters and animals, but no one that looks like him, no one that he can resonate with, let's just be a part of the solution. You know, one of the things that I take from my work as a small tangent is I've always tried to avoid being a naysayer professionally. And naysayers, in my opinion, are people that find problems for every solution. You just can't do anything right. Anytime you find a solution, there's always that 1 or 2 people that found another problem, and it stops progress. And what I told his dad and my co-author is that I don't want us to do that. You know, we have the ability to write these stories. We can role model the stories after your son, and let's just do it. And together that birthed the Super series. When I grow up, I want to be super healthy, super smart, super rich. I saw those things because there were none of the children's book that talked about wealth in the kind of way that really dealt with wealth building. There was nothing there that really talked about their health and why it's important to be healthy and live an active lifestyle. And then in the Black community, there is a stigma about sometimes being smart. And I told him that we really need to embrace his intellect, because he's such a bright young man, and let's build some stories from there. Those 3 books led into doing something for Black children, which led to Little Black Girls with My Melanated Munchkin, and that teaches just Black girls to love their skin that they're in. to love their melanin, and then dentist Debbie doing something that had more of an occupational feel. Everything doesn't have to be about being a princess or, storming a castle or flying on a dragon. You can want to be a dentist, you can want to be a doctor, and let's really dig into that. So a lot of those passion areas came from working with colleagues and then really being exposed to a little person. And I think, Matt, the other passion area that we've talked a lot about is money. Something I'm very, very passionate about, something that, again, I think was inside of me because I grew up with, what I like to call strugglenomics. I saw my mother struggle and I knew from there, I don't want to do that, because it broke my heart to see someone work as hard as she did for us to live paycheck to paycheck, and for you to break your back every day commuting and but still trying to give us that energy. And I said, I don't want that. I was exposed to strugglenomics and I have to help break that cycle. So being in this profession, especially being a live-on staffer and having been one for so long, I would often talk to colleagues who would come in and out of the profession and they would leave broke. And it would just boggle my mind how anyone could have access to having their utilities and their rent taken care of in exchange for being available, and then you leave broke. And those sort of things just really guided my path to speaking passionately about whether it is representation through the children's book or my authorship or just talking about money and really encouraging people to invest in themselves the way I've had people invest in me.
Thank you. Yeah, I love what you are saying about kind of seeing a gap in the need and then becoming something to fill that gap. And so I hear you in saying that you wanted to create some books that would be, helpful. Sorry about that, y'all.
It's okay.
That would be helpful to, young Black youth to see themselves in the literature, but then also, creating opportunities to not be a naysayer and to find, I think even the way that you support your staff in leaving the field with some money in the bank and being prepared to take some financial responsibility. So you are really passionate in this like role model influencer role. Who was that for you?
That person may even be on the call. First would be my mom, because that is the greatest role model that I've ever had. And then my partner, because I see how hard she works in everything that she does, and I am astounded by her. But when I think about sort of a professional mentor, it was my undergraduate area director or resident director when I was at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. His name is Marcellus Connor, who is also my co-author, and he's on this call. We stole him from the Makuho region and brought him to Wakuho, and I'm excited to see some of the things that he can do in our region. But it was having somebody that saw me, saw the potential in me, and even though I may have been a little rough around the edges, someone that invested in me and didn't just say, this is a person with potential, but this is somebody that needs to be cultivated. And it's really because of people like him and, numerous other colleagues that helped me to become the person that I am today.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, but so we have another celebrity on the call, Marcellus. Thank you for being here. So Rhett, can you tell me a little bit more about kind of what these role models, your mom, Marcellus, what specifically did they do that empowered you to be, I think so self-assured and confident and I think empowered as a leader? Because I think that's my experience with you, right? I think on exec, we would often sit next to each other in meetings and just have these like really thoughtful, amazing conversations in like pockets of 5 minutes. And I always just felt so impacted by you. And so like, wow, he knows what he's doing and he knows what he's talking about and he's so sure of himself. And I've always been kind of attracted to that in you.
I appreciate that. I would say the biggest thing that they did, and they may not have known it, is having a continual interest, wanting to see me succeed, wanting to see me be the best version of myself. I would expect that from my mom, because, you birthed me, and I expect you to give me your absolute all, but knowing that there are other people that want to see you succeed, and it's infectious. When you have somebody that takes the time to stop and just ask you about your day, how are things going? They are genuinely interested in what you have going on, the trajectory of your life, and doing what they can to help you get there. And for me, knowing that through these conversations really just ingrained in me what I wanted to do for other people. So the fact that you're saying that some of our pockets of conversations were meaningful to you means a lot. Because anytime I talk to someone, I do have a genuine interest. I really do want to know. And if there's something that I can do to help you get there, uh, I'm all about that. So it's really just having that interest and taking the time to connect and invest.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of fans here, and so I'd love to open it up if anybody wants to ask Rhett a question directly. I have some other questions here, but I also certainly want to give other folks an opportunity. So feel free to drop it in the chat or even unmute yourself and ask Rhett directly.
No pressure.
I'm looking at Maggie. Maggie always asks really good questions, but I see Dave unmuted, so let's go with Dave.
Yeah, thank you. Rhett, I totally hear you with working with folks who live in, have rent, and so many, food, utilities, so many things paid, but make sometimes not great financial decisions. And when I was a young living professional, I can't say I was any kind of role model for that. But if you were to offer some of your, top points for folks that are currently in that situation, what would your financial planning advice be for them?
That's a great question. I think one is to really take to start off with a self-assessment. Uh, what is it that's being taken care of for you? And then what level of investment in yourself and in your future are you really taking the time to do? I see Marcellus put in the chat, pay yourself rent every month. I think that's a great point. But really, through that self-assessment, it's to really pull out your wants, your needs, but most importantly, to find out about your habits. Because a lot of people, because we do things instinctively, you don't realize how much money you may or may not be spending. And if you're putting yourself in the right position, also, most of us were not born in a household or have gone through the level of financial literacy through any level of school that would make you an expert. So you really have to find the time to invest in yourself. And I think about the acronym OPP. So not the rap song, yeah, you know me, but OPP would stand for opportunity, perspective, and patience. And I think that's important when you're thinking about finances. One, when you're a living professional, there's an amazing opportunity that you have that's unlike anything most professions will ever see. So you have to fully understand the opportunity so you can maximize it. Then perspective is through that audit portion where you can look at your habits, look at what you're doing well, what you're doing not so well, and gain greater clarity. So that way, the perspective you have can be on how do I maximize my financial situation so I can be the best professional that I can be. And that whenever I choose to walk away from this field and go into the real world where people are paying bills monthly, that I'm in a position to do so. And then patience, I think, is important because it's a journey, right? Short of anyone hitting the lottery, being born independently wealthy, or maybe someone gifting you with life-changing wealth, it really is a process. And one of the things that I read in Buffettology, which would be Warren Buffett's books, one of the biggest takeaways in that 300-400 page book is so many people are concerned with getting wealthy quick that they undermine how powerful getting wealthy slow can be. And wealth can mean a number of different things. It could be you being able to take care of yourself and your family. Most of us have people that rely on us. We all have likes and things that we want to engage in. And because I grew up under sort of that strugglenomics philosophy, I never wanted to be in a position when I got older to think, do I really want to go to the restaurant or do I have to pay a bill? There you go, Maggie. Amen. So I think that those things are important. So again, OPP, that opportunity, patience, and perspective, it does wonders.
Thanks, Rhett. Yeah, I think that's really insightful. It's never as simple as a few tips. I think that's a really, really solid perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your question.
I think even the way that you give that financial advice, coming from what you call strugglenomics, I think uh, addressing the emotional part of finances, right? Addressing, I wrote down, what level of investment are you making in yourself? You know, a lot of financial advisors would just, why aren't you paying yourself rent? Why aren't you saving more? Why, and
Yeah.
you're going back to basics of like, well, what are you really doing to seize opportunity, prospective patients? I really like what you said there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really all about it's really about your habits, and recognizing your habits, because we do things so instinctively. I mean, most of us will go to Starbucks and not think about it. But when you sit down and you really do an audit, and you're auditing your finances, because it is such an important component of life. Unfortunately, the world doesn't run on who's a great person and who's not a great person. It runs on money. Uh, and for all anyone that's ever lived in, especially since most states are at will employment states, I could not imagine my supervisor, in thinking about where we are now in COVID, saying, hey, unfortunately, we have to let you go, and you have no money. It just astounds me. Have had several conversations with past presidents of Aku Hawaii, because I think there's so much more that we have to do in that space. Setting us up to talk about the things that are important in our field are great, but if you leave broke, then our industry did you a disservice. If no one's ever talked to you about the financial literacy that you have to go seek out normally, then you're doing yourself a disservice. So you'd be surprised if you were just to sit down and audit your spending. Most people would be shocked on how many things they spend that are wants and not necessarily needs, against how are you contributing to your retirement. What are you doing to set yourself up for the future?
Yeah, that's all really, really insightful.
Just preach. Thank you. Preach, Rhett. Preach. One other piece, and I think Rhett is spot on in this. It's the lack of information, or just the language around the financial pieces of our lives.
Absolutely.
We just took that. I remember, I think it was Sue Matthews, Carol Roberts Korb, maybe, that did the financial presentations at Wakuhot Waste every year. I know they haven't done it in a while, but those were very popular, very well attended. And it's because, again, it's if we don't have the language, then we don't even know what questions to ask. If we don't have the language, our curiosity isn't piqued the way that it needs to be piqued around money. But okay, I'm gonna stop now. But yes,
No,
Rhett, thank you.
I appreciate that, Maggie. And for everybody on the call, Matt, one thing that I can do is I can share this with you at the end. There is a great book called Your Money or Your Life. It's called Your Money or Your Life. Matt, I will send you the book, and you can send it to everybody on the call as an ebook, because it is so important about you doing an audit. Another thing that I would encourage everyone to do, if you have not, is to go to www.personalcapital.com, and that's personalcapital.com. What that will do, it will allow you to link all of your accounts, aggregate them, and it will show you your net worth. And again, as Maggie talked about understanding the language, if you don't have clarity about your finances, if you don't have the courage to take a look and say, I need to tackle this, then you'll never get a hold of it. And there are so many amazing resources. So if I don't know how long we'll stay on this topic, Matt, but for anyone here, the book, Your Money or Your Life, I will send it to Matt to make sure you can have it for free. That's how big of an investment it is. Bankrate is a great one. NerdWallet is a great one. Credit Karma, but personalcapital.com. Personalcapital.com. So you can get a clear picture of your net worth, your assets and your liabilities, so you can really get a hold of that. Best free website in the world, personalcapital.com.
They are not a sponsor, but
Not a sponsor, not a sponsor.
but I love what you're sharing here. Are there any other questions from the audience that we can have Rhett speak on?
And no pressure. Matt's the host. Make him do the hard work.
I know. I'm like, whew. Okay, I see a comment from Marcellus. The being a live-in professional is like being a pro athlete. The day will come when you have to walk away, and if you haven't prepared you will be set up with yourself and you have no one to blame but yourself.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to transition unless there's other questions that folks want to ask on this topic. Okay, so one of the things that I talked a little bit about in your intro is I think I call you a social media influencer because I think your presence on social media is like 90% hilarious, and then
Okay.
10, and I'm just gonna make a huge number, 90% super impactful, and then like 50% like you hyping up your partner,
Okay.
which I love seeing because I feel like it's not common
Right.
for I'll just say it, like straight men to like be so like hyped up of their wives,
Absolutely.
and so kind of where does that come from? Where does this power couple dynamic come from? I'm gonna call you a power couple. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. The 90 and the 50. Those are great numbers. Thank you so much. I think when it comes, to the the love that I show my wife publicly, starts with the fact that I think she's incredible, and that I told her, I made a promise to her on our wedding day that I take this responsibility of loving you and treating you right and honoring you incredibly seriously. The fact that you chose me, as anyone that has a partner knows, there are ups, there are downs, but we chose each other for a reason. And I am invested in your success, but I am also invested in letting the world know that you made the right choice when you chose me. Um, and in addition to being her biggest fan and her biggest supporter, uh, I think that's just what you should do. I think that's what's important, because of the responsibility that I took when her parents gave her away to me, and just saying, you know what, that yes, we are in this for life. Uh, that it just means so much to me. And I'm no stranger to saying just how wonderful she is, and that she is really the best part of our dynamic. So it's really just taking the responsibility of loving my partner seriously, and honoring her in every way that I can. I will say, when you look at social media, this is not to compare and contrast any relationship, but there are so many things that are sensationalized that you don't often have a chance to see someone just loving their partner and loving them unconditionally. And it's not about your status, it's not about what you've accomplished, it's just about you existing. And the fact that you exist in this space means everything to me. So it's really just taking it seriously and honoring her for that. So, but I appreciate you noticing. That's a nice thing, that I appreciate you noticing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the coolest things that I get to see is not only do I think a lot of folks try to put their best image of themselves forward on social media, but I think like I've never met your wife, but I want to meet her based on how you've shown her off. But I also think the way that you hype her up and her successes, and your
Yeah,
posts are not just how beautiful she is, but like how smart and intelligent and successful she is. It's something to admire. Um,
I appreciate that.
yeah, I think on the same note, I think what relationship, give me one piece of relationship advice. Your relationship seems to be like super blooming and beautiful on social media, so give us one piece of like, if you were talking to a couple that was about to get married, what would you say?
Um, if I was talking to a couple that was going to get married, I guess my greatest piece of advice would be, uh, every day you should reset, restart, and refocus. Um, that is probably the biggest piece of advice that I could give, is that ultimately every day that her and I have a chance to spend with one another, really is a gift. And I don't want to harbor the good or the bad from yesterday, because I try to compartmentalize each day. And each day I reset. I'm always thinking about, what can I do to be a better partner? What can I do to be a better person? And as long as I invest in what's going to make me whole, then I'll have everything that I need to support and honor my partner. So if you can reset, restart, refocus every day and just make a commitment to it, be disciplined, fall in love with the process of treating your partner well, of treating yourself well, and things tend to fall into place from there.
Thank you. I think,
Absolutely.
you're also expecting a little one.
I am.
So tell me how you're feeling about it. Are there some anxieties? Is there some excitement? A little bit of both?
There's a little bit of both. There is the general anxiety of, am I going to be a good parent? And I've talked to parents, and they often say that, one, the love that they have for their children is immeasurable and something that you're not prepared for. So I, even though you hear it, I don't know if I'm prepared to not be prepared, the way parents often say. Uh, so that part gives you a little bit of anxiety, because you just want to do a good job, and you hope that you do a good job, because that's really all that you can do. The other part of anxiety that comes to me is, I am very, very conscious of the fact that I would be bringing a Black child into a world that has a history of anti-Black racism. And because I think my voice is a bit outspoken and a bit loud on wanting to be educated about the subject, to think that I'm going to have this level of love that I didn't know was capable for someone that I birthed, and then to think that I'm going to send them into the world that's not going to give them the same level of care that I would give, it's an anxiety provoking thing. And I'm sure any parent that are online that knows, I mean, you do your best and you hope for the best, but the world is not as forgiving as your house. And everyone's not going to give the same benefit of the doubt or love or care or respect. And to know that you are walking into that with sort of your heart taken out of your chest is an anxiety provoking thing. So I'm always trying to learn from the parents that I had a chance to talk to get their perspective, to see how they deal. But I am just processing through this as 2021. I'll have a chance to usher in a new life. So I'm excited, I'm anxious, but I'm also very aware and cognizant of the world that we live in.
Thank you. I think that that's a really important message. And Maggie just put, the world is not as forgiving as your house. My goodness, this hit me right in my heart. I agree. I think that I would like to talk a little bit about kind of this current state of the world. And
Yeah.
I think you talking about bringing a child into this world, I can understand how there would be lots of anxiety there. You know, how are you taking care of yourself during the current, state of, beyond the global pandemic that we're all going through, but being a Black man in America?
I am taking care of myself in the best way that I know how. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. It's just what I try to do every day. One, I get a lot of joy in honoring my partner, which is one of the reasons why I do it so much. Making her happy makes me happy. Helping people makes me happy. So I invest in myself by investing in other people, because I get a lot from it. It re-energizes me. Um, I do a lot of reading and a lot of studying. I think that it's just direly important. I've read so many baby books. I am reading things about just being a parent, and also understanding some things that I want to help set my child up in a way that was not set up for me. I think about, I'm not sure if anyone on this call is independently wealthy. And if you're not, one of the things that bothers me, and I've talked to family and friends and even my mom about, is how does it feel knowing that your parents didn't leave anything for you? Because I want to embrace that feeling so I don't do it to my child. Um, I hope to pass on my good looks, but I need to pass on something tangible. So I'm looking at 529 plans for my unborn child now to help pay for their education. I am looking at investment accounts that I can put my child's name in, because what's important to me is that I leave something tangible. Knowing that you are going to be born a Black child, the slope of that hill is a little steeper. And to have any level of self-awareness or knowledge and to not set you up. That's the point of having children, is to set them up for the future, to give them what you did not have. So I need to embrace what wasn't given to others so I can be sure to give it to my child. And that's really what's important to me. So I find a lot of joy in that. Also, investing in myself, loving myself every day, finding a way to invest in my own mental health, my emotional health, my physical health, is something I take great joy in. And on a smaller level, in San Francisco, everything has been closed because our mayor is not letting anything open. But recently, theaters were open. I'm a big cinephile. I love going to the movies. It's one of those things that I can just escape and just be. So I hope to treat myself to a movie soon. But I am so invested in trying to give this life that I have not met, this person that I have not met, everything that wasn't given to me. That I'm just narrowly focused, laser focused on that. Because I will feel okay if heaven, I know if I were to drop dead, heaven forbid, my child would be okay. And that's because of the work that I'm putting in now. Maggie, top 3 movies. There are just so many. I would probably say one is Aladdin, because I can watch Aladdin over and over and hum the songs. Then would probably be Coming to America. Absolutely love Eddie Murphy. Animated. The live action was okay. It was a little odd without Robin Williams. So it was okay. Will Smith did an okay job. And then my last favorite movie, I'm a big, I love documentaries. So really any sort of documentary about untold history or untold truth, because it's out there. So I love documentaries.
Any other questions? I know we're getting close on time, so I'd love to give you all opportunities to ask any questions that you might be considering. If not, I do have another one.
And if not, no pressure. Make Matt work.
I know you keep saying that. You're about to be the next interviewer for the next guest.
Next, I appreciate it. You can tag me.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Maggie.
And I may have missed this. My apologies. Housing. I had a call last minute, so I had to attend to that before I jumped on this call. So I may have missed this. So forgive me. And if it was asked, what's your why, Rhett? Mm-hmm. When you I can make some assumptions right now just based on what I've heard. But what is your why? What gets you up in the morning to, in the darkest days, yeah. Right? What keeps you going?
Maggie, that's a great question. It had not been asked. I would say at this point in my life, there are 3 whys, and there are 3 women that mean everything to me. One would be my partner, my mother, and I don't know if I'm having a boy or a girl yet, so I may put that energy out there. My unborn child. They are the reason that I wake up, the reason that I work so hard, the reason that I invest in myself, the reason that I do the things that I do, because I believe it is my God-given responsibility to make my mother proud, to honor and treat my wife right, and then to protect my unborn child. And I think one of the things that's important in taking it a step past the why is not only understanding it, I know what I'm willing to sacrifice to achieve it, and that's absolutely everything. So it's not just about me. I have dreams and desires and aspirations, but the level of fulfillment and joy that I get in the investment that I have in them, in making sure that all the work that I saw my mom put in, that I am a good person, that I try my best to give everything that I have to my community, to myself, to my family, the investment that I have in my wife, and then everything I'm doing to set up my unborn child. It's not just the why, it's I know I'm willing to sacrifice everything to achieve those goals. It's like a fire that just doesn't go out.
And may I do a follow-up? Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely.
As you can tell, I love asking questions. What do you mind sharing what your mother's name is?
Yes, my mother's name is Rhett. So she got Rhett from Rhett. Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
If you were to tell your mother something today that you are, grateful for, or Like if you had her right in front of you right now, what would you tell her?
If I had to say something that I was grateful for, first I would probably uh, thank her and honor her for everything that she's done, all the sacrifices that she's made, the good, the bad, the ups, the down, because it's so hard until you get older to separate you being a parent from you being a person and you trying your absolute best. And then I would thank her for being vulnerable enough to share her losses, to share her pain, and to share her hurt. It's because of knowing things like that that it helps to fuel me, and it also helps me to want to avoid some of those pitfalls. Um, that vulnerability, it not just seeing the good, but seeing the bad more than anything, is something that I am definitely grateful for. And the fact that you loved me enough to show me all facets of you, so I can not just love you and honor you as my mother, but I love you and honor you as a woman,
Mm.
is so powerful to me.
So she was showing you the truth
Yes,
instead of keeping you
absolutely,
from the truth, even if the truth was not the best.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we talk about that. It's easy to characterize truth being good, bad, or ugly when
Mhm.
really truth is it just is. It just exists. It's easy for us to sub-label it because it may make us feel better, but really, truth just exists. And thank you for being vulnerable enough to show me that. Um, to continue being yourself, and thank you for all the sacrifices that you made, things that I'm sure I'll never be aware of, to make sure that I could succeed.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rhett.
Thank you.
And thank you, Retta. Thank you, Retta.
Oh, thank you. I will let her know that, and thank you so much for your question. I appreciate it.
I think along the same, I can always count on Maggie to bring up the emotional questions. So I think up along the same lines, I think if you were to look at childhood Rhett, let's say 8, 9 years old,
Sure.
the life that you're living, is this the life that you could have imagined for yourself? And what would you say to 8-year-old Rhett today?
I don't know if it's the life I would have imagined for myself at 8. I probably wanted to be the next Black Power Ranger. So the fact that that did not come into fruition, 8-year-old me would probably be a little upset. Also, I have had this fascination with providing and money. So, I would hope I would have won the lottery. I have not been so fortunate yet, but it's okay. It's still young. Powerball, Mega Million, California lottery, it's coming. You got to play to win. But what I would tell my younger self, is that, and it may be too deep for my younger self to really understand, is just that uh, the relationships that you have in your life are mirrors, and the mirrors, the image that you see someone reflecting back is really, um, who you are at that time of your development, and that every relationship may not be good, but every relationship is going to teach you a lesson, and to really pay attention to those lessons. um, I think I was a pretty smart kid because I like to read and I like to be active, but uh, understanding the power of relationships, and not just the time and commitment that you put in, but really the reflection that they're showing you of where you are in your stage of development. I would say just really pay attention to that. Pay attention to the people that care, pay attention to the people that don't, and really make the best decisions from there. I'm sure all of us have can reflect back into in throughout our lives, and what, maybe I ended a relationship too soon, or maybe I discarded someone that really had the best intention for me, but I really wasn't ready to hear what they had to offer. um, if I could get a do-over on some of those, because I'm sure I've disappointed some people that only meant well for me, and I'm sure I kept some people that really were only meant to be there for a short period of time.
Thank you. I think you should add, you're the many would consider you the Black Power Ranger of higher ed to your bio.
Oh, well, I don't know. Well, okay, we'll take it. We'll take it.
I'll endorse that. Yeah.
Yeah, I will take Black Power Ranger of higher ed.
Any other questions from any of y'all? I know we're getting close to time. It's okay if not.
If they don't have any questions, I always have lots of questions.
Go for it, Maggie.
What's next for Rhett?
Well, I see you saw I was ready. What's next, Maggie? In an ideal world, I would hit the lottery and move out overnight and leave my supervisor a kind note saying, thank you for everything you've done. I am rich and I've moved to an island. That would be great. I got to dream big. But what's next is
what island? What island?
Probably some remote island that I could buy.
Okay.
Probably
This is like big time lottery. We're not talking like, a few little millions here and there. This is like big time.
Big time. Big time. If you're going to dream big. That's the whole thing. So, what's next is the continual preparation for my child and the investment that I'm going to continue to make in my partner and I, doing everything that I can to continue being the best person that I can, and also continually speaking out about anti-Black racism and the injustices and inequities in our system and in our country. I'm a bit of a politics buff. I like to study, so I am going to continue using my voice and the platform that I have. Thank you for calling me an influencer, Matt, even if it's just to you, to speak out passionately about things and engage in meaningful conversations with those that want to have it.
Thank you. I think we should potentially end there. I don't know that I can ask you another question that's gonna top that.
It's a perfect place to end.
What'd you say?
It's a perfect place to end.
Yeah, definitely. I want to say thank you to everybody who took the time out of their week. I know election season is creating a lot of anxiety in all of us, and Rhett, Susu, and I had a conversation about whether or not we should host this session or postpone this session, but we thought that folks perhaps needed a great distraction. And I think, Rhett, you did way more than distract us. I think you inspired and told us a lot of really, really good stories and things, a lot of good nuggets of takeaways. So I appreciate everyone being here. Rhett, I really appreciate you, willing to tell your story and share a little bit with us. I think we barely got to scratch the surface, but hopefully you all purchase Rhett's children's books, which Dave put in the chat for anybody who wants to check those out. He also has other books that are not children's books, so you could check those out too. But thank you, Rhett.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Susu, thank you so much for what you all are doing with this platform. Thank you for, sort of undertaking this big responsibility and doing it so gracefully. For everyone that is still on the call and everybody that had to jump off, thank you all so much for being here. Again, there are so many different things that you could have been doing, but the fact that you stuck it out with us here means a lot. So, I definitely hope everyone stays safe and Rona free. And I really, really appreciate you being on the call.
And before you all log off, we need to take a screenshot. So if you're able to, would like to participate and you're able to turn on your camera for a quick second to smile, please do so. Okay. I'm going to count to 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, one more time, because I see a lot of people turn their cameras on right now. I didn't need a second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Matt, I'm going to send you the book. Make sure you send it to everybody on the call.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Folks, thank you.